Breaking news, people. Welcome back to DR Sports. Serious breaking news in regards to Mason Greenwood. Quite astonishing, to be honest. That's just come out. Mason Greenwood, CPS have discontinued the discontinuance of charges in relation to obviously the assault charges and many other charges that were way back in October 2022. I'm going to read through the statement first of all, and then we're going to discuss, of course, what this means for his future, obviously in football with Manchester United, if it's with Manchester United, etc., and what Manchester United do now, and what does Greenwood do now as well after this has come out. So let's go through the statement. Mason Greenwood was charged in October 2022 with one account of attempted rape, one account of controlling and coercive behavior, and also one account of assault and occasional actual bodily harm. Now, that's 3 charges on that. And then we go with a decision has been made to discontinue the prosecution in accordance with the Code of Crown Prosecutors. The CPS spokesman has said we have a duty to keep cases under continuous review, obviously dating back to October. In this case, we have a continuation of withdrawal, a combination, of withdrawal and key witnesses and new material that came to light meant there was no longer a realistic prospect of conviction. In these circumstances, we are under a duty to stop the case. We have explained our decision to all parties, and we would also encourage any potential victims to come forward and report to the police, and we will prosecute wherever our legal test is met. Apologies, it's a bit stagnant from me. It's the first time I'm reading that statement. Obviously, that's only just broken as of yet. Now, this is it being discontinued. It's not a non-guilty. It's not a non-guilty verdict. It's a dropping of the charges. Of course, that's a big difference that has to be distinguished. Now, that means up until this point, as it says at the end of that statement, it's been dropped and it's been put to the side and it's done. Now, what does that mean for the player? What does that mean for Manchester United? Manchester United obviously will have to make a decision. They'll have to make a decision as to what they do from here on. I think up until this point, they've still been, obviously he's under contract, but he's been suspended. Whether they've been paying that contract, I'm not too sure. But he has been suspended up until that point with this case ongoing. And now it's been dropped. What do you do if you're Manchester United? You know, it sounds crazy, but will he now be back in training? What is the next protocol for Manchester United in a situation like this? What do they do next? Will the player play for Manchester United this season? Manchester United fans, how will you feel about that? Do you want him to play for Manchester United this season? What are your feelings on it? Let me know in the comments. What is to be expected from the club in terms of their own, stance on this situation, their own, I guess decision making, the process that has to go through there. It's going to be very interesting, people. It's honestly, it's not unprecedented. Unfortunately, it isn't, but it is a very rare situation that we're dealing with here with this. Like I said, the charges were dropped. That's not a not guilty verdict. And if it was not guilty, then of course this would be a different conversation. But because the charges have been dropped, they still have to go through a decision-making process of what they believe they need to do as a club standpoint, represent their club in the best way, shape and form. And, no player is of such high importance that you put that over your club, kind of decision-making, as to say. So let's go through what you guys are saying. It's immediate reaction. In this circumstance, I have absolutely no idea what to expect. I have no idea what Manchester United are going to do. I have no idea what Mason Greenwood's going to do in terms of, yes, he's had the charges dropped on him. Does he even feel comfortable to go and play for Manchester United again, or play in general? What's his decision? What's he going to think is the right move on this? People have got to come together here and make some sort of decision. And I'm sure Manchester United will put out a statement as well. It'll be interesting to see what they say on that, how long that takes as well. Will they ask the manager, etc., in press conferences? I'm sure they will. I'm sure they're going to look for some sort of response. He will be the club's mouthpiece on this in terms of public press and all of that, as managers always are. Unfortunately, their job is extended to moments like this where, yes, they should be coaching the team. Yes, they should be dealing with the tactics, but they're going to also be asked these type of questions. They're going to be asked, what is the plan in terms of bringing him back into the side? Or is he going to continue to be suspended, and how long for, etc.? Do you plan on using him, playing him, etc.? So it's insane. But like I said, the case was dropped. That was due to a lack of new evidence. They have still said at the end of that statement, if there is more evidence or if there's any more victims to speak or etc., then to come out and to speak. They're looking for people to continue to do that. But at the same time, like I said, the case has been dropped. And that's the end of it as of now. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat in terms of what to do now, particularly in terms of Manchester United fans. How are you feeling at the moment? It's kind of come out of nowhere, literally just broken so kind of randomly today in the last couple of in the last hour or so. Let's see if there's anything in the chat in terms of what you guys think and feel in terms of what to do next. Not seeing anything as of yet. Let's see. It's a very strange situation, people. I mean, it's down to, and also we speak about Ten Hag, but we also have to speak about the players as well. The group of players to be integrated back into that. What's their situation in terms of do they want to even see him back in the team as well? It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be extremely interesting. Let's see what you guys are saying. Like I said, so yeah, in the chat there seems to be a bit of confusion. Like I said, there's a difference between the cases being dropped, which is what's happened here. The case has been dropped in comparison to a not guilty verdict. I don't know in comparison to previous cases with other players which side they've kind of fallen on in regards to each individual player that you're talking about in the chat. Obviously, that context matters. Not guilty verdict makes it 10 times easier to obviously reintegrate and to potentially, have them back in the fold. But cases dropped is a completely different situation. So I'm not sure what players out there, if you know in the chat, do let me know if there's any comparisons. But I'm not sure what players out there, if we've seen a case like this recently where we can kind of use it as a measuring scope as to what that procedure looks like for the club. So yeah, it's quite insane, to be honest, people. Zero chance he comes back, says Jonas. I mean, like I said, I think it's a very difficult one, to be honest. In my opinion, it's a very difficult one. I don't think you can do this easily to bring him back into the team like that. I think it's a very serious situation. Like I said, it's 3 accounts of assault. 1 attempted rape. I'll repeat it for you guys if you've missed the start of the show. It's three accounts of assault that he was charged with in October 2022. It was 1 account of attempted rape, 1 account of controlling and cohesive behavior, and 1 account of assault occasionally account for bodily harm as well, actual body harm. So three different types of assault there were the charges, and like I said, the case has been dropped by the Crown Court. So it's gonna be interesting. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying here in the comments. Dropped means, for you, Ace, says dropped means wriggled your way out of it. Like I said, big difference between dropped and not guilty, and I think that's the clear, distinct difference for this case in particular. That makes it even more difficult for Manchester United to do anything but maybe prolong this suspension until they make a decision, until they understand exactly what they need to do. So yeah, for me, Manchester United have to obviously treat this situation exactly how I'm sure they will, very carefully, very, very carefully. They have to be, I don't think there's any rush from Manchester United. Most times people look for instant response in terms of clubs. They look for instant response in terms of manager. I think obviously they've got to put something out to kind of clear the air, to say what their plan is or what they look to intend to do. But I think they have to be very careful here, and they have to make sure that they get this right. Let's see. Okay, anybody in the chat? He'll be loaned out to another team. I mean, again, transfer window obviously closed yesterday. loan. I don't think outgoings can take place in terms of loans unless we're talking to other clubs in other countries where their windows may still be open. But what club is going to take on that kind of situation from a PR standpoint? I highly doubt any club is going to take that up on. I don't think any club's going to take that on board in terms of the PR situation. Is, again, I don't think the PR of the situation is worth the any player. So I don't think any club is going to take that on. I highly doubt he'll go out on loan. I'm almost certain that won't happen. It will have to be something in-house with Manchester United, some sort of decision on the player and what the player also, again, does he feel like he can even go back into that team? Does he feel like he can continue to even play? There's going to be the fact that he's got to go, and if he does play on those big stages, the crowd, etc., the teammates, the manager, these are all personal things that will come into the account. It's not as easy to just say you're just going to just come back into the team now and start playing on the right flank. It's just not that easy. It's very, very unlikely that that's just going to happen. It's going to be a process, if anything, at best, for him and Manchester United. But again, I'm not sure on that one. Now, let me see what else is being said before we come to a close, people in the chat. Let's see. They said new evidence has to come to light. Yeah. They said new evidence has to come to light. That's exactly what's at the end of the statement. New evidence has to come to light for them to reopen the case and for them to then press on. So until that happens, the case is at the moment closed, like I said. Charges have kind of been dropped, and then we'll see what happens. If new evidence does come to light, like I said, if new people do come forward, then it goes again. So yes, guys, breaking news, like I said, that's that concluded, and we'll see what happens from this point forward. I'll see you guys soon. Big up.